All right, let's talk about Wuthering Heights. Specifically, that wild first chapter. It's famous for being, well, a little tough to get into. It kind of just throws you right into the middle of everything, doesn't it? So today, we're going to crack it open and figure out what's really going on. Okay, so let's jump right in. The year is 1801, and we meet our narrator, a Mr. Lockwood. He's just moved in and is telling us he's found the perfect spot for someone who hates people, what he calls a misanthrope's heaven. He seems pretty convinced that his landlord, Mr. Heathcliff, is exactly the same kind of guy.
So, who exactly is this narrator we're following? Before we can understand anything else, we really have to get a handle on the guy whose eyes we're seeing everything through, Mr. Lockwood himself.
And right away, you see this massive contradiction. I mean, the guy says he's looking for total solitude, a place completely removed from the stir of society, right? So what's the very first thing he does? He marches right over to visit his one and only neighbor. This is our first huge red flag that maybe, just maybe, we can't trust everything our narrator tells us.
And Lockwood actually gives us the proof himself. He tells his story about meeting a woman he really liked, but the second she showed any interest back, he just froze. He became so icy and weird that she thought she must have imagined the whole thing. So you see, he's not some hardened hater of humanity. He's just deeply, deeply socially awkward and has convinced himself it's a cool personality trait. So now, let's see what happens when this unreliable, awkward narrator comes face to face with the real deal, the mysterious and frankly intimidating Mr. Heathcliff.
Lockwood is immediately fascinated by his landlord. He's totally convinced they're kindred spirits. But from the moment they meet, Heathcliff is just a walking puzzle, a man who just doesn't add up.
And this is what's so mysterious about him. Lockwood describes him as looking like a dark-skinned gypsy, but he dresses and acts like a gentleman. He's handsome, but he's also incredibly sullen and reserved. He just doesn't fit into any neat box, which immediately makes you wonder, where on earth did this guy come from? And his so-called welcome? Yeah, it's anything but welcoming. He growls, "Walk in," through clenched teeth, with a tone that basically says, "Get lost." It's not an invitation, it's a challenge. And of course, our guy Lockwood, who's desperate to seem cool and unbothered, decides to accept it. Now, just as important as the man is the house he lives in. And we learn very quickly that Wuthering Heights isn't just some building, it's a character all on its own. The book flat out tells us what the name means. Withering is an old local word for the kind of wild, stormy weather the house is always exposed to. Bronte is basically screaming at us, expect turbulence, expect violence, expect a storm. And just look at how it's described. The trees are twisted, like they're begging for sunlight. The windows are tiny and set deep in the wall, like a fortress. The corners are reinforced with huge stones. This place wasn't built to be a cozy home. It was built to survive an attack. It's a perfect reflection of the man inside. Okay, here's a detail you absolutely have to notice. Carved right over the front door is a name, Hareton Earnshaw, and a date, 1500. But wait a second, our landlord's name is Heathcliff. This is the first real solid clue that this house has a history, a long one, and Heathcliff might just be the latest chapter in a much bigger family drama. So all this tension that's been bubbling just under the surface of the visit, it's about to explode. But not between the two men. Nope. The conflict comes from Heathcliff's pack of dogs. So what happens next is just absolute chaos. And it's all Lockwood's fault. Heathcliff leaves him alone, and Lockwood decides the best course of action is to start winking and making faces at the dogs. I mean, who does that? Predictably, it goes very, very badly. The mother dog lunges, a whole pack of four-footed fiends joins in, and Lockwood is left fighting them off with a poker, until a servant charges in with a frying pan to save him. You can't make this stuff up. But here's the real kicker, Heathcliff's reaction. He comes back in, sees the mess, and he's not sorry at all. He's not even concerned. He just calmly says the dogs were right to be on guard, and then offers Lockwood a glass of wine like nothing happened. This tells you everything you need to know about how cold and detached this man is. So, after getting the cold shoulder, being physically attacked by dogs, and generally being treated with complete contempt, how does Lockwood feel about his little visit? Surely now he's going to go home and lock the door, right? Heathcliff gives this really lame excuse, which isn't even an apology. He's basically just confirming their isolation. He's saying, yeah, we're hostile, we don't get visitors, and we have no idea how to act when one shows up. And here it is, the brilliant, baffling twist at the end of the chapter. Instead of being scared off, Lockwood is energized. He finds Heathcliff's rudeness so extreme that it actually makes him feel like a social butterfly by comparison. And then, even though Heathcliff could not have made it clearer that he wants him gone, Lockwood announces he's coming back to visit again tomorrow.
And that's the big question the whole chapter leaves us with, isn't it? The question that's going to drive the rest of this book. Why is this guy, who claims all he wants is peace and quiet, so obsessed with returning to this place that is so obviously, so violently telling him to get lost? He's stumbled into a house full of storms and secrets, and he just can't stay away. What dark history is Wuthering Heights hiding? Well, Bronte has us hooked, and just like Lockwood, we have to turn the page to find out.